Hi, welcome to the Grief and Potluck podcast. My name is Ginger. I will be your host for the next time frame. Undeniable here as to how long that time frame might be, but definitely no more than an hour, for sure. So, welcome. We are connected to www.celebrationsoflifemagazine.com. For the month of November, I hope you got there in time to see that there was a poetry contest. So the poetry must have a line in it called prompt. The poetry line prompt must read in there somewhere in that poem. Really, really good things are coming soon. So I'm going to challenge myself now to come up with a poem. My heart, it cries in the dark corner. It yearns for awareness to find you again. My heart, it cries. At the end of the tunnel, I need to see the light. I want to see the light. I desperately want to stop crying. My only hope, my only prayer is that really, really good things are coming soon. All right. Ta-da! I promise you that was off the top of my noggin. So, that said, grief and potluck. Yes, we are a podcast about grief and potluck. Because you can't have grief without food. It just doesn't happen. So, born Floridian, so I know a little bit about going to potlucks. And those potlucks are delicious. And if you've ever gone to a funeral in the South, below the Mason-Dixon line, you know all about this food that gets incorporated into celebrating the time of life that is after the person has passed away. So people get together and they bring food to the family, either at their home or also after said funeral is held. Now, in 2020, we are experiencing a new kind of situation at large for said funerals. So, on a personal note, the chickens you see on my Twitter page for Grief and Potluck podcast has those 5 cute little chicken ladies. Those little chicken ladies belong to a cousin, family member, friend who passed away unexpectedly this year. And the family was raising some chickens, and one in particular really attached to him. It was kind of cute. And there's also a video on the YouTube, which you can find the links for in the www.celebrationsoflifemagazine.com on our YouTube page. So there's links on the website. You can go find it. I make it easy, I promise. And essentially, it was a sad moment because it came out of nowhere, as death sometimes does. And wanting to cry, as you often do after you hear initially about the death of a loved one, was kind of difficult because, in a way, we're not next door to them, we're nearby. And then thinking, okay, we'll get to the funeral and then we'll really feel it more. We'll be right in that grief-stricken space. But then, no funeral because, unfortunately, a family member had come down with COVID. And so we waited. And then the dad, who is elderly, as this person was in their middle 30s, the dad, who was elderly, was like not really feeling well. And he too had unfortunately come down with COVID. So again, we waited. Okay. Well, then now it's been a few weeks and we're thinking, all right, any time now? But now they learn, of course, the protocols. So the protocols, of course, are reduced amount of people at a funeral, reduced amount of people at a graveside. As I'm sure you've experienced this, at least either through distant friendship, family member, you've lost somebody out there this year, whether through this unfortunate crisis of COVID or just by way of natural means or just by way of however people die. There's lots of ways and I won't mention them all here now. So that said, waiting, 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 honestly waiting to cry and not able to cry except for now. When you start talking about it and release it. So yeah, if you have to sit in a corner, in that dark corner, in that space of your time to release those tears, that feeling of angst, that feeling of sorrow, those tears, they will come. They will come. They will come unexpectedly, as they do now. They will come. When they come, you have no control sometimes when that happens, and that's okay. You're in a period of grief. Grief is different for everybody. Everybody experiences grief, whether it's a couple days, a couple weeks, a couple months, a couple years. I've known people who grieved for more than a year. I've known people who've grieved a year. You know, we all grieve differently. So don't feel like you are, in quotes, air quotes, not normal, because we are all individuals grieving differently. Your relationship with that person may affect the way you grieve for that person. Point in case, when my grandfather died, I was pretty young. I would say I probably wasn't quite 10, maybe in that ballpark. And when he died, I just was in the moment. I'm like, okay, he's here. Now he's not here. Now we're all sitting together at some chapel place, and there's an urn, which I guess is where he's at. He's in this urn now. Okay. You know, so as a child, I'm processing, I'm trying to figure it out. I don't really get it. I'm still naive to the world on a lot of ways, and that was, in a way, a good thing. But then, like a year later, I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm sad because it dawns on me, yep, that my granddaddy has died, and I can now express that grief. I can now release those emotions that they linger. They may not always come right away. So, this is a space where we'll be talking with people who have experienced death of a loved one, family member, friends, etc., even pets. Currently, in the www celebrations of lifemagazine.com, we have furry friends that we are mourning. So there are people who have links and blogs and talk about experiencing the death of their cat, dog, and various animals. And they share with us their stories. So I appreciate the story by Uti, and her story is on the page of the beauty. I'm sorry, her page is called the Pet Death Doula. That is a thing for people and pets. It's called a death doula. On the page of Furry Friends, there is a lady called Amy Shojai. There's a blog link for her. She is a well-known author, and she has a lot of books out there, as well as a certified animal behavior consultant. And she talks about cats and dogs and dealing with them and giving them quality care for the aging and the ill. And then you'll see on Furry Friends page my cute little kitty cat. Aww. His name is Biscotti. Yes, the thing you dunk in your coffee, Biscotti. That is my cat. And so he's having bubble time there in that picture. You'll see him off to the far right in the green section next to the mystery plant. I digress. So this month, I was fortunate to speak with Shalini, who created Just Joom. Now, I could totally be pronouncing that wrong, and the world will forgive me. We had a great conversation. If you see the India blog area, you will see this conversation unfold. It was a long one, so quite frankly, I can't get it all out in one sitting, and I don't expect myself to. And we had a great conversation where she shared about the loss of her husband, and then not only that, but then she experienced the loss of her father and a friend. And so as the month unfolds, you'll learn more about her and how that time in her life has affected her. And honestly, I like to call it in my giant title, proof that we are created for a special purpose. When it happens, can be unexpected. Truly, truly unexpected. Time of our lives. We don't know a lot of times when someone's going to die. That is the unexpected. But here in this safe space, we'll figure it out. We're going to get our stuff together. I almost cussed. Oops. We're going to get our stuff together and we're going to go forward together. So, happy tears is where we're at. Now, if you hadn't visited us on the website, please do so on www.celebrationsoflifemagazine.com. And you'll find links to the YouTube page where you can see past issues. In the September issue, I was very blessed to speak to a Swedish lady. I have her name coming up shortly. But we got to learn about the Swedish death culture. And that was really interesting because, we're not all the same here from the US of A across the wide stretches of life. But this lovely lady's name was Jenny Ann Gunnarsson, and she gave us time out of her schedule to chat about various aspects of the Swedish death culture. And there is a link at the bottom of said page so you can find that information. Also, I like to give quick shout outs to, I'm not sponsored, ta-da! But I want to give quick shout outs to some Etsy creators who we have given a space to on this website. Patsy's Garden Studio, Made One for You, the Paisley 5, and the Rustic Nest 13. All of them create something in the subculture that is death positive. And by that, I mean either they create beautiful watercolor cards that would be great to send out as either a thank you, as appreciate you providing whatever casserole you did, or as a sorry for your loss type situation. Also, they have pet memorial gifts, um, pet memorial signs, so various things. And those can also be found at the bottom of the page of the website. Now, I digress a little because, yes, we are connected to that website because that's the website. Ta-da! So, if you haven't visited us there, please visit us there. You can see under Grief and Potluck, the divine inspiration on this cute little pot. You're welcome. I drew it. Thanks. I try to be artsy on occasion. You will see that the logo was created. Here we are launching. It is November 2020. And the craziest thing that happened today so far was I found growing in my driveway some onions. Yep, those green, skinny onions that you chop up and you put on your tacos, you put on your soup for a garnish, however you do those little green onions. Long story short, randomly growing. So I don't know how they got there, but I'm glad they got there. It was kind of neat. So I had a wild, crazy experience today with that. As I stated, for those of you who have come to Grief and Potluck podcast, as you will read on the website homepage, the Grief and Potluck podcast is also a place where we want to make the end of life a celebration. We are here to create safe conversations around death and dying, learning about all things funerary, such as, but not limited to, culture, history, fashion, flowers, types of funerals, food, art, and more. Now, that said, radio silence. Is it good for us? I don't know. I am going to be reading for the month of December, All Set for Black. Thanks. A New Look at Mourning by Miriam Weinstein. That is Miriam Weinstein. Weinstein. And essentially, this book was written because I think a lot of her friends passed away. So who knew I'd find a collection of essays about death to be shockingly funny, but of course, Miriam Weinstein's new book is also touching. For the what to wear dilemmas she addressed are surrounded by evocative descriptions of how loved ones react to life's passing. These are intensely personal essays about death, written by an introspective woman with a keen gift for artois. I'm not sure what that means. And dare I say, cheering gab. All right, well, as I sit in front of a computer, Outre. It's French. Outre. Attoir. No, I did not say outreach. Attoir. Here we go. Attoir. Unusual and startling. Well, there we go. All right. With a keen gift for the attoir. Atre? Outre, apostrophe over the E. So, here we go.
Outre.
Outre. I'm completely wrong. I'm sounding like an American here, reading a French word. Got it. So, yes, unusual and startling, weird, outlandish, offbeat,
Outre.
outre. Word of the day. Hey, that could be a thing too. So, I picked this book up because I was intrigued, and there's a cute little cover with 3 black dresses on it because in the American culture, we do wear black. And I'm going to explore that further as I have other resources on that. And that's going to be its own podcast coming up. So, note to self podcast on dress. All right. Dress. Now, it's not always black, sometimes it's white. As the world sees it, we're black and we're white. So, yeah, so we can wear black to a funeral. Most people are comfortable wearing black, but in warmer weather, white can also be worn. Who knew? I personally didn't. So I'm learning something every day, which is another reason to have this fabulous space.
Outre.
Outre. That might seem weird and offbeat and freakish to some people, but that's not how I see it. I see it as a learning experience because I had questions. Personally, I was not getting answers, and I wanted answers. And so here we are to ask those questions and to get those answers going forward. So, welcome, dear ones, to the podcast, Grief and Potluck. I know there's like 3 intro videos. No, I apologize. 2 intro videos, and those are going up on YouTube. This one will be the official first one because I actually recorded it correctly to be posted. So, learning curves, education, educating myself on how to do this. It's all good. It's not hard. Um, but that said, I have a heart for this. Everything just feels right. So I'm going forward. I'm going forward with you on this journey to learn about death, to learn about grief, to learn about how we celebrate life. Because in the end, we're celebrating the life you leave behind. And so hopefully that was a good life. And if not, well, it's 2020. And we got some time to figure it out. That's where I'm at with life. Because there was a lot of things I planned to do at the beginning of 2020 that turned out not to be the case because ta-da, COVID. Yep. So we're going to move past COVID because personally, I'm sick of wearing a mask. I'm sick of social distancing. Yeah, unfortunately, it's realized how small my circle of people are, which sucks. So I want to get past all that and expand my horizons, which, as you can now learn, I like to sing sometimes, but my singing is along the lines of singing words, such as ta da. So you're welcome. So that said, special shout out to my happy podcast song, which is produced by Tony Venturini, can be found on bandcamp.com, and the song is called The Day My Luck Ran Out. I will finish out the broadcast here with said song. You are so welcome. Well, I'll play part of it. I won't play the entirety of it. Gotta keep you guessing. You know what I'm saying? All right. So thank you again for joining us at Grief and Potluck Podcast. I look forward to talking with you further about all things funerary and hoping that you are here with me on this journey as we venture together and get solutions to the questions that we have, because that's what we're here for. Have a great day.